Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Whitewater Township Board of Trustees meeting, February 19th, 2024. If I could ask everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Mr. Breck, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Pope?
Here.
Mr. Shively?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here. Also, can I get acceptance of the meeting minutes for the January 15, 2024 regular meeting?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope?
Yay.
Mr. Shively?
Yay.
Mr. King?
Yay. Also, acceptance of the invoices.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope?
Yay.
Mr. Shively?
Yay.
Mr. King?
Yay. And we'll jump right on into the sheriff's report. Sergeant May, if you're ready. Good evening,
I
sir.
am indeed. Good evening, all. All right. We are dealing with the reporting period of January 2024, and these reports taken in Whitewater Township. We had 2 burglary reports, one of which was an attempt, 5 thefts, 2 identity frauds, 1 receiving stolen property, which was somebody found in a stolen vehicle, so they were arrested for that, 1 criminal damaging, 1 criminal trespass, 1 rape report, known suspect, not a stranger type situation. Protection order violation, we had 1 menacing report, 1 obstructing official business. We also had another stolen vehicle recovery just itself, no arrest made on that as of yet. 11 aided cases and 4 other non-criminal reports. It's brought our grand total up to 32, 17 of which are closed, 15 are still active. We had 37 December, so went down a little bit as to be expected. Auto accidents, however, went up. We had 30 in the township, 17 in December, so apparently everybody forgot to drive with the new year. And then calls for service, we had 386, which was a slight uptick. We had about 358 in December, so pretty normal stats for this time of year as we start to head towards spring.
Okay, anybody got anything for Sergeant May?
I do not.
I do not either.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
I do not. Stay safe out there.
Change your mind, I'll be here the remainder of the meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to jump into our public presentations. Right now, we have Brenda up here with us, our attorney. We're trying to get some papers signed. And then Dale, we'll jump into you. Let us get some of these papers, so if you hear us pausing, because we have a bunch of paperwork that we need to sign. The paperwork's just over for our fire department radios and everything, which is very important. So we're always on a time crunch when we have to do those, and obviously being our attorney, we want to make sure we get her in and out of here. So that's what we're doing right now. Just give us a couple minutes. Is that okay, Dale? And then Dale, I think we're going to give you 15 minutes or so, and then probably open it up for some questions and maybe bleed that into 20 minutes, okay? Okay, all right, and you're all set for up here? Okay, all right. And then I guess this is all your crowd out here, huh? We'll give your people some more to show up, huh? Then we opened up the back room for you, too. Yeah, we were hoping we were going to have, Dale was going to bring in about 50 folks, so he still might, though. That's all right. How many more we got here?
So if we need to do the resolution,
Okay.
it'll be resolution
Jim.
2020. I'm sorry. It'll be resolution 2024-17, resolution authorizing Whitewater Township, Hamilton County, Ohio to enter into equipment and payment schedule number 002 to a master lease purchase agreement by and between U.S. Bank Corp., Government Leasing and Finance, Inc., and Whitewater Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, to finance the purchase of fire equipment for Whitewater Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, and authorizing other documents in connection therewith. therewith and declaring an emergency.
I will so move on Resolution 2024-17.
I'll second it.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
and Mr. King.
Yay.
I've got to look. Today's the 19th, right? Jeez. Want to make sure I get that right. There you go, man. Yeah. Once we did a master. You think they could reuse some of this paper? Four five oh oh three.
45033.
We tied a lot over there. We used to have bulk mailing address number 1 over there. There you go, man. Feel free to tell Brian he owes you for, not that he's gonna be good to collect on, but. Just last week. Oh. Okay.
That's it. Yeah. As long as they're.
That's it? Oh, a lot easier this time. Thank you.
Yeah, we
Thank
only-
you.
We only had
Thank you
some.
very much.
We didn't write everything else in. A whole lot quicker. Okay, the next public presentation is Dale. If you want to come on up, this is Convention of the States. Welcome, Dale.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be here again. I guess the second time I'm here. I don't know if I had a couple in the audience, but I'm with the, called the Convention of States here in Ohio, and we're looking at trying to get some control back from the federal government that they've taken it all away and doing things that should be done here, should be done at the state level, and everything else. And I did give you guys a copy of the slide presentation you've got on the table if you want. Any notes?
Yeah, if you can just
Huh?
make sure you speak into the mic for us. Yep.
Okay, I'll be sure. Is that good? I don't have a very good voice to begin with, so leave me out of there. So basically, I'm asking them here to prepare a resolution that they were prepared to basically go to our state reps, encouraging them to fulfill this at the state level. So we passed several other municipalities around in the state, and I guess Harrison next door is one of them that's next door. So kind of just wondering for, like the trustees here, what about Washington, D.C.? Are they really helping you get your job done and get this stuff? I don't know, everybody else knows, but my relationship here was through the sewer board that a few years ago, and I know that they had to work pretty hard on several things to make that happen. Oops. Didn't go. Don't know why. There we go. So anyway, I just think, and I'm kind of proposing these to see, are these some of the things that we have difficulties, you have difficulties with here, in Whitewater Township with doing. And I know the sewer project, I guess getting funding was like crazy. Well, it was supposed to be, at that time, it was going to be a shovel-ready job, and that failed, and I'm not sure I know what all they did, but anyway, they were successful in my neighborhood. So I just think that's some of the things. So basically, what really has happened, what's causing these problems? It seems like the federal government has taken away a lot of the powers from the state and local governments, ignored something called federalism, and that's really when powers are shared by different divisions in your government. And most people think, well, federalism sounds like the federal should do it, but it really says federal shouldn't be doing it all. It's a kind of a crazy word, but it's used in a lot of these legal documents. So basically my question is, who should be making some of these decisions for us down here? So what are the roles of the different levels of the federal government? So in a way, I kind of see this, the federal government is overseeing issues that impact our country, the national defense, treaties, wars, and they're all supposed to make it fair between the states. And that goes back to the original 13 colonies. They did not get along at all. They put tariffs between states and a sort of regulations, so we don't want that to happen. We're supposed to be a United States here. And then basically, states should oversee the kind of issues that they need to work with at their level. You know, if education's a statewide thing, healthcare, state roads, state parks, those kind of things, the state should be able to make the decisions and do that, and without always having to go to the federal government to beg back money and other things that we have to do all the time. And then down to the local municipalities here, Whitewater Township, the things that you got to do here, if somebody just look in the menu and see the funding and everything these guys are doing, a lot more than most citizens would ever believe. So basically the decision should be, you know, what I'm saying from the bottom up, if it's a local issue, it ought to be here. State issue, up to state. Federal, yep, it has to be made up there. So power has been taken over, you know, by the federal government as we go. I mean, the Constitution starts out, "We the people." Well, the federal government's not we the people. That's us down here in this room tonight. It's the people. So basically, and I don't know if I'm going to read all this, but in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, it lists the powers that the federal government is supposed to have. And if you're looking here, 7 of them have to do with national defense, 1 for piracy. That happened really early. The rest of them mostly have to do with commerce, weights, measures, currency, the post office and post roads that were important when this was first done. And the last one is to do with the District of Columbia, because that's where the federal government headquarters is, and they were careful what they did with that. But that is what we call the enumerated powers that's right in the Constitution, the limited powers the federal government is supposed to have. It looks nothing like that today, and that's what we're really here trying to change, to do that. So Article 5 of our Constitution provides for balancing the powers between states, its people, and the federal government. Okay? So the people are supposed to be where most of the powers, those 18 things back in Section 8, were what the federal's supposed to do. Everything else was for the states and the people to do. So in Article 5, the state legislators, because they pledged to uphold the U.S. Constitution as well, so there's a duty in there for them to do this, and it's called Article 5 of Convention. And so far, that has never been done in this country. One of the reasons it's gotten really out of control. So let me just look at this. This is what's in Article 5. The Congress, on the application of legislation of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention proposing amendments. So this is the way the states can push back against the federal government. And that's what it was designed to be. You know, federal government's got divisions of power all over the place. You know, we got the Senate, the House, the judiciary that was supposed to be balancing powers, but there's also one here that's supposed to balance it with the states and the federal government too, that basically in our history we're failing to do. So in our solution with the Convention of States that I'm with, we're proposing 3 things. It won't fix it all. It's got a long way, so we don't say this will fix everything, but we think it'd be a big start to it. So we want to impose some fiscal restraints on the federal government. We don't refer to that as a balanced budget because we want a spending cut as well. So you could say balance the budget. They could say, oh, we up your taxes 5 times and we'll balance it right. No, that's not what we're looking for here, folks, let me tell you. We also think we need to turn the limits of the people in office and the members of Congress. You know, after so many years up there, they just become part of, quote, the swamp usually, and they just get taken over, and that's all they want. So there needs to be some term limits and stuff. How long? I'm not sure we know. And the third one down here is they're taking away our powers and stuff. You know, they're not supposed to tell us, you know, how much water's in our toilet out here we're flushing, or what can I use for my stove, is electric or gas or whatever. That's not stuff the federal government should ever be involved with, like schools. I mean, I think everybody recognizes some of those. So in our convention, these are the 3 areas that will be discussed when we have this convention. And I'll go on into the convention here in a little bit right here. So the convention takes 2/3 of the states have to pass a resolution like the one I provided for you last time that we have up at the State House, all right? So we have to get 2/3 of the states, or 34 states, and basically this is quoted right out of the House resolution that we got, House Joint Resolution 3 that's up out there. And this is the main text. So we're calling the convention to limit. There's nothing opening it up to give them more power. It's limited to the fiscal restraints, the power and jurisdiction, the terms of office, just like I went through. But that's the actual main language right out of the Ohio legislation that's up right now. Now, since I was here last time, several of them in this room, we have been up and testified as a proponent for this HJR 3. So we were up there and spent 3 or 4 hours and submitted testimonies and everything in support of it. So that sounds good, but we never know yet. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to judge that when you do it. I kind of worked with a group this year myself, and we sat down and started going through. We have a lot of opposition. If anybody wants control and power, lobbyists, anybody like that, they absolutely hate us. I mean, George Soros had 233 companies sign a pledge to go against us. So this is not going to be an easy thing to get through, but that's what we're trying to counteract, exactly the reason for doing that. So if we get whoops, sorry about that. Now I'm going to go the wrong way. So if we get 2/3 of the states that will have their resolutions up here, then those states will select delegates, usually 3 to 7 delegates from each state. And then they also will make some regulations for those delegates. Those delegates represent the state. I try to tell everybody it's kind of like if you got a realtor to represent you selling our house, she has to be in your faith, right? These are the same way. They're delegates for the states. So those delegates from all 50 states will go. They will propose, debate, and vote in those 3 areas that I talked about. And out of that, when they vote for something, the outcome of that will be a suggested amendment. So, and they're like any other deliberating body. They vote on officers, set their rules and everything as they start, just like the states and the Congress does every year. And because we are the United States, each state is equally represented. And this is what we're trying to get to happen. Out of that, then anything that they suggest for amendments still have to go to be ratified right through the Constitution, like every amendment we've made so far. So in a quick nutshell, one picture, I have about a 25-minute presentation on that picture we can do. But I can go through. It's really organized. Every state's going to write a resolution, and it's limited. It's right there. It's a binding resolution. So you're going to have binding resolutions for basically every state. Every state's going to write the regulations for their delegates, So it's really a controlled process, very controlled. Last summer, we actually did a simulated convention in Williamsburg, and we had 49 states there. Most states had 2 or 3 representatives from each state that got together just to see how this would work, and they go there and they go for a purpose, and it worked out. It really showed that it worked. We got a lot behind that to do that. The other thing I got, I'm sorry, my fingers keep hitting the mouse. The other thing I want to point out, Trafalgar Group, a really nationally recognized group that does all sorts of what do I want to say, analysis of things. So they did one basically on our convention of states here about 1.5 years ago. So, it basically they said the same thing. Would you support a convention of state to meet the proposed constitutional amendments focusing on term limits, spending restraints, and their overreach? So basically, I point out here we had 81.3% of the Republicans said yes to that. And I'm just pointing out, we're kind of out here in a pretty conservative area here in Ohio. So I would think most of your constituents out here are going to fall in this area. So I just want to point out this is something that, your people really want to do. Anyway. So basically, And I'm coming here today, and I just show you, your people want to do this, so I'm asking you to support your citizens, and you'll be passing a non-binding resolution. It's just suggesting to your, legislators, to do this, for your benefit too, because I would hope, with all of this, it gets changing. Funding and stuff could be drastically different the way it would happen. If Washington balanced their budget, where would that money wind up going? Well, I would hope that you will see more money down here. And this is the template that I gave Jim. And so in your agenda for tonight, you actually have a resolution proposed in there. So I haven't really read it and seen it yet till I walked in the door, but I think he pretty much followed what I have here.
I just formatted it to our format.
Okay, so he formatted it in his format. So basically, it's saying that the best government, what is the closest, most accessible, and accountable to the people. Basically, that's you. We want that. The Constitution restricts and defines the powers of the federal government. I showed you those 18 bullet points. I didn't get all of them, but that's what's in there. Increasing the confiscation of tax dollars that could otherwise remain in the states and their localities. That's things we would like to see. And it's just this another one. This next whereas, talks about basically the federal government's not going to give up their power. Those people are power hungry. That's why they're up there, right? And then we see that Washington's unresponsive to the unique needs of situations like we have down here, And this is one, neither state or local leaders or individual citizens have a meaningful way to really impact that. When you got the swamp in Washington, they're not even elected officials that's making rules and regulations. What can we do with that? That's hard. That's why this is probably the only way that most of us see that we can actually change the function, the way Washington operates. That's really what we want to see. So the state and local leaders, have all signed up, pledged to the Constitution, to both the U.S. and here. You guys have too. So we think it's in your best interest. So if the state can, adequately serve through a restoration of the authority and resources originally reserved to the states and local levels. So we want to restore it back the way it was intended and started. And I mean, go through this, but, there's been amendments and everything else. One amendment, the 17th Amendment, when we actually voted for the senator, lost a lot of power from the states. When we appointed who we wanted for our 2 senators, they listened to what the state wanted. I mean, the state, legislation, and Columbus could call them back if they weren't really got out of line with what they're doing. When that went to being voted on, the structure of the Constitution completely made a change. And I think most of us are, well, let's vote, I guess I'm fighting today to try to say, we really have a Republican form of government with the Constitution. We're not going to have a majority vote to do many things that go on. We have representatives that go to represent us to do that. So it's kind of a difference. So basically, the overreach by all the branches of the federal government have really gone unchecked for years and decades now. They passed laws, and the Supreme Court has ruled on different things. Interstate commerce was supposed to be commerce between the states, and that's kind of got interpreted now that they can do any commerce of any kind, not just interstate commerce. So they can restrict waters on a farmer's farm and everything else like that, wow, how is that interstate commerce? So that stuff's just been changed over time, and of course, that's what I'm here to address. So the last page, and that's my main part. If there are any questions?
Does anybody up here have any questions
I
for
don't.
Dale?
I don't have any questions.
Anybody out in the audience have any questions for Dale at this point? So Dale, I know, Jim, do you want to read through that resolution real quick so everybody can hear what you have typed in there?
I can. On your agendas, originally, I didn't realize Brenda was coming out tonight, so this was going to be 2024-17, but since I was doing her first, I moved that, and I forgot to change it on your agenda. So this will be Resolution 2024-18, resolution of support for a convention of the states to be held, whereas Whitewater Township, Hamilton County, Ohio desires to show their support for the convention of the states to be held, and whereas it is fundamental percept of American government that the best government is which is closest, most accessible, and most accountable to the people, and whereas it is for this reason that our Constitution strictly limits and defines the powers of the federal government and explicitly reserves all remaining government functions to the states and the people, and whereas in recent decades the jurisdiction, authority, and resources of the state and local governments have been radically diminished by an ever-growing assumption of jurisdiction and power by all three branches of the federal government, which has corresponded with an increasing confiscation of tax dollars that could otherwise remain in the states and localities, and whereas the realities of human nature and institutional momentum make it a virtual certainty that the federal officials will not individually nor as institutions ever undertake reforms that would halt or reverse the exponential growth of their own power, and whereas unsurprisingly the decisions, policy, laws, regulations, and actions of our federal officials and institutions in Washington, D.C. are unresponsive to the unique needs and situations of individual states and localities, and whereas neither state and local leaders nor individual citizens have any meaningful way to impact or influence the decision-making of the federal officials and institutions which are now dictating many of the policies that govern them, and whereas it is the duty of the state and local leaders to uphold and defend the U.S. Constitution as well as the Ohio Constitution, and to use their positions of public trust in the best interests of the people, and whereas the needs, interests of the people and of our state and local communities can only be adequately served through a restoration of authority and resources originally reserved to the state and local levels of government, and whereas because systematic overreaching by all three branches of our federal government have gone unchecked at the federal level and result in a de facto revisions of our Constitution to expand federal power and jurisdiction, that only proper, effective recourse is through the proposal and ratification of a constitutional amendment that rejects the perversions of constitutional language, reinstate the needed limitations on federal power and jurisdiction, and restore the authority of the state and local governments which are most responsive to the people, and whereas Article 5 of the Constitution provides for the proposal of constitutional amendments on specific topics through a meeting, convention of the states, and for the subsequent ratification of such amendments by 3/4 or 38 of the states. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Whitewater Township, County of Hamilton, and State of Ohio that Section 1, the Whitewater Township Board of Trustees, fulfilling its duty to serve the best interests of its constituents, hereby call upon State and Assembly of Ohio State legislatures, especially Senator Lewis W. Blessing III and Representative Cindy Abrams, the elected representatives of those constituents, to advance and adopt with all possible speed the concurrent legislation resolving, adding in Article 5 Convention of the States, which are limited to fiscal responsibility, term limits, and reigning in the scope, power, and jurisdiction of the federal government to draft, consider, debate, and propose constitutional amendments which, once ratified, would restore the proper measure of authority and resources to the level of government closest to the responsible people. And let me just add Section 3 because it wasn't on his. It is further resolved that this is hereby declared an emergency measure for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the township. For this reason, and that immediate insurance of said obligation is required for the orderly and timely passage and approval. I just need a motion and a second if you'd like to adopt this.
I got a question. Have we had the attorney look this over? Has he looked it over, or, I mean?
No, I
Josh?
have not sent it to Brian.
Uncle Brian, I mean, I'm sorry. I like everything about it. I do. I mean, I like everything about it.
I can tell you that, you know, this is a duplicate copy that came from Harrison, and their law firm is the one that created it for them, and it's been used at other places around, but, you know, I agree that.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, that's my only concern is, you know, I don't, if I'm signing it for myself, I would be no problem. But when I'm signing it for the township, I just want to make sure I don't ever do something that gets us in. Only because it's a bunch of legal stuff. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. That's just, I want to sign it. I just want to make sure I'm not signing something that,
I don't think it's something that our attorney needs to look over. It's
Okay.
pretty,
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-18.
I'll second it.
Voice vote?
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King,
Yay.
Mr. Pope.
Yay.
So you're following Harrison. It was unanimous vote in Harrison, too. So, very good.
I will email you a copy of this.
Okay, appreciate it. I
Thank-
will point out, I forgot I had this in the back. If anybody's really interested, there's really two good books that will give you in-depth understanding of what we're doing. So Robert Nadelson wrote a book called The Law of Article 5 that details everything that we're doing. And then Mark Levin has a book, The Liberty Amendments, and he outlines the kind of amendments that we would expect to come out of this. So I'll just throw that out there because it's just a good resource if somebody wants to.
Dale, can you at least even through it, maybe even just email, keep me posted kind of how things are moving on this?
Absolutely. I'll come back from time to time to try to update you.
Okay.
You know, so we've had the opponent hearing in the House, so the opponents will be hearing sometime. The way that things are moving in the House this year, they don't even know when they're having committee meetings. I mean, it's a nightmare in Columbus right now.
Yeah.
But they will get their turn, and then there should be a follow-up to that. But, yep, I'll be happy. I'll come back. I'm only around the corner.
Yeah. So does anybody, before Dale, you go, does anybody have anything? I thank Jim, our fiscal officer, Jim Brett, for reading that. That's a lot. Good job putting all that together. Appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions before Dale steps down from up here and Dale will keep us updated? as things
Anybody
go
that hasn't already done it, you can go to our website and sign our petition. We have about close to 130,000 in Ohio, but we still need every petition we can get signed. You can do that right off our website.
Okay.
I just want to thank you for stepping up and supporting this initiative. I think this is something very important for the country.
Would you step up here? So she's got this on recording, just kind of helps out. That way I don't have to repeat everything you're saying.
Yeah, sure. My name's Brian Witterstetter. I just wanted to say thank you for supporting this initiative. I think this is something very important for our country. The main reason that I'm in the room tonight is because I have 3 children, and I told them as I was leaving the supper table tonight that I'm going to a meeting to stand up for your future, and I think this is very important for their future. So I just wanted to say thanks.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dale.
It's okay.
If you just leave the password, you can leave it.
Yeah, we could use them.
Okay, we're going to jump on into our township reports. I see our chief's not here. Fire department, are we just going to pass that or? Correct. Okay.
Yeah, he had no action needed to be taken.
Yeah, so unless there's anything.
I've read through the report. I don't.
Is there anything you
I
wanna
talked to the
add, or-
Chief, I really don't have anything to add. We're still working on the repairs to the Miami Town
Okay.
floor. Those are moving along.
but
Okay.
slowly but moving, so
Okay.
that's all I have to report.
And then next on here, we have our maintenance department. Let me see if,
The spring cleanup day was,
yeah, let me get to that. So our maintenance report, windows and doors, the windows throughout the building here at the community center have all been replaced along with the front entry doors. Next is spring cleanup. Spring is just around the corner with the permission from the board. This is Josh speaking, not myself, our maintenance director. I would like to hold our annual spring cleanup day on the 27th of April. With this, I will be ordering dumpsters and getting tire dumpsters from Keep Cincinnati Beautiful. Okay, that is incorrect. Okay, so tire dumpsters from the Hamilton County Resource lined up for this event, along with a list of things that will and will not be accepted. So he'll put everything together for that on the spring cleanup. Next is our mowing for 2024. I have been in contact with Craig Roush, who has been cutting the township properties for us for the past few years. With permission from the board, I would like to continue working with Mr. Roush to maintain our properties in the township. He has informed me that nothing has changed and all will remain the same as last year, which is a good thing on the price and everything. I have attached his quote to your packet to review. As always, Josh is continuing to maintain everything in the township, which he does a really, really good job with that. So,
Okay.
so that is it. We'll bring that up.
Okay, I was gonna,
You want to go ahead and
we'll just go, I think we'll
ahead.
just go ahead and do it while we're fresh
Go-
on. The
yep.
spring cleanup, I'd like to make a motion, because we need to get things ordered and done. Hamilton County Resource has committed to tire dumpster. We don't know the number yet, whether it be 1 or 3, but that is correct, Peggy, right? They have committed to at least 1 tire dumpster. And
Yep.
so
Okay.
so I'd like to make a motion to have the spring cleanup on the 27th of April.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
and Mr. King.
Yay.
And then, with that being said, I'd like to also make a motion to continue with the groundskeeping of Craig Roush, as was this past year.
Okay.
Second that.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay. Thank you, Trustee Pope and Shibley, for that. All right, we'll jump right on into our, anybody have anything else on maintenance?
I do not.
Okay. Township report for the community center.
The attendance from 1/8 to 2/9. Euchre during the weekdays was 145. Euchre Friday nights was 147. Chair volleyball was 54. Bluegrass was 196. Country music was 39 for a total of 581. Number's a little bit low because of the holidays. Rentals for January, shelter was closed. Center had 0. Rentals for February, shelter is closed, and center had 0. Just a reminder of programs available at the center. Chair volleyball, euchre, bluegrass, and country music. Call 513-367-6046 for information. And as always, we are always looking for new ideas, new programs for the center. If anyone has any ideas, please contact Carolyn at 513-367-6046.
Anybody have any questions for Trustee Shibley on the community center?
I do not.
Do not. Okay. We'll jump right into our committee reports. Jim, you have any updates or anything on the Township Regional Water and Sewer District?
Nothing really new, other than we're hoping within the next month to 2 months to have the State Route 128 project out for bid. Our next meeting will be February 27th here at 7 o'clock p.m. Everyone's welcome.
Okay. Any questions for Fiscal Officer Brett?
Do not.
Okay. Next one is our economic development. Really nothing new on that. I do know the skyline is really looking nice, and they got a whole bunch of activity that's moving along back at the old Miami Lakes area where Selhorst has that. So, Jim, I guess you and I will be getting together some more on that area down there
Yeah.
for development once this whole water, sewer, and everything continues to take off. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's kind of where we're at on economic development. It is moving along pretty nicely at least finally.
I got something to add a little bit.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it falls under there or not.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Apparently, there's been I had a couple people actually call a rumor, like, which normally that happens, swirling around about them opening the Miami Town School for migrants, and that they were going to move people in there. I reassured everybody that I had not heard anything in any way, shape, or form of that. It's not even possible if they wanted to, so
Yeah.
the building is not capable or working ability to do something. But just to put everybody's mind at rest, that was circulating around, and I don't know where it
Yeah,
started.
you got my attention. I'm like, whatever.
There was another place. There was somewhere else they said too that they were. I said I have not heard anything of any. And it's not even possible. So I could squash that. But just so if anybody else has heard that or I don't know.
Well, that was a first for me hearing that. So, okay.
I don't even. I had two different people call me.
Wow.
on it.
Thanks for bringing that
I
up.
don't-
Yeah.
it's amazing. So
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Next we have on here We Thrive. Trustee
Yep.
Pope.
The We Thrive group met last Monday. Have a little report here. The We Thrive team is currently planning with the township the upcoming community cleanup that is scheduled for Saturday, April 27th. We're also planning to host our annual roadside litter cleanup on Saturday, April 20th, as long as we receive approval from the trustees for that. If approved, there will be details on these events made available on the township website, along with our We Thrive and Whitewater Township's Facebook page. We're also discussing ways for improvement of public safety on our rivers, along with fall prevention and possible cooking classes for our elderly. Our next scheduled meeting will be here at the community center at 6 p.m. Monday, she put 13th, but it was the 11th. But I will change that because of pending township meeting that night.
Okay.
So,
You looking for a motion on that April 20?
on the April 20th to do the litter getter cleanup, we've got sent to us from We Thrive the
Okay.
waivers that everybody will have to sign. Green Acres is supplying the some bus transportation, the grabbers, garbage bags, safety vests to be worn.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, I will make that motion to move forward with that date of Saturday, April 20, 2024.
I'll second it.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Shively,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay. Okay. Anything else for Mr. Pope?
I do not.
Anything on solid waste? Trustee Shively, anything on that?
Nothing a whole bunch except they have kind of mentioned a little bit, and Willie had talked to him a little bit at the township. Rumpke has thrown out a couple ideas of maybe working with helping to get some recycling going in the area. I know they're doing some other stuff in some other areas, and it's just a preliminary, but they had brought it up, and he was
Yeah.
talking to them to try to come up with something that could get recycling in the area, and maybe it sounds like to me like at a reduced rate, or to try to get it promoted. We don't really have, it doesn't seem like people in Whitewater have been real eager on it. I think mostly because of the cost. I think a
Right.
lot of people. So
Yep.
it sounded like they were going. So I hopefully that will progress
Yeah.
further as
In the
it
near future, I hope to be meeting with them again on possible recycling dumpsters or some sort of a program, something we can try to get the recycling going again in our township, because the only way to stop a landfill is to quit throwing stuff away. And that's where we need to start. We need to.
Is that something that will connect with We Thrive and?
It will
Or not?
work with We Thrive, but preliminary meetings of,
Right.
try Peggy and
I
I
got
meet
you.
with them and
Okay,
see where
okay,
we can go.
all right, yep. Thank you, guys. West Jad, you got anything on that, trustee?
There is nothing to report for West. Well, I will report one thing. Harrison got it was dedicated on Valentine's night at 5 o'clock, a baby drop-off station at the Harrison Firehouse in downtown Harrison. That's the box where a mother that is wanting to give up her child and doesn't want anybody to know about it. They take it and drop the child in the box. It immediately sets off an alarm to a monitoring station. The box gets locked, and then within moments, people are there to
Right,
take the child. So those have been very successful in a lot of areas. It's a very sad thing to see, but
yeah.
if it helps, if it keeps them
Yeah.
from
Better
doing
than
something more
alternative.
yeah, it's better
Yeah.
than the alternative. So anyhow, that is in Harrison at the Harrison Firehouse. We had talked about putting one in Miamitown a couple years back during a West Jad meeting, and that's kind of, we discussed it and tried to see about getting a grant or something, and we were unsuccessful, but they did do it in Harrison.
Okay. All right, thank you. Next, do you have anything you want to
No.
share? Okay. Next, we're just going to jump into our old business. Under old business, we do have facility rental rates. Any ideas on?
I initiated that topic at the last meeting, but have been unable to, given the OTA conference and everything with schedules, haven't been able to sit down with Peggy and get a start on that.
My 2 cents on it is, I mean, they're not banging they're not, if we were, not
Yeah.
that we can't go forward, but I mean, I don't think we're bad where we're at, because it's not,
Well-
they're not beating us down. I mean,
I just want before next year, when we approve rates and everything, I just want to, during this time between now and then, I want to review everything and just, cemetery rates, the rental property rates, just review it. I'm not saying raise everything. It's just look at it, review it, and adjust accordingly if necessary. That's all I'm proposing on that.
Are we okay to go ahead and pull this off then, and bring that up at a later
Yeah, we can
date
bring
if
it-
we need to? I don't think we need to. I really do not want to leave it under here.
We
under
don't
old
need it on
business.
here
Okay.
every month. No.
Perfect.
no.
So Jim, let's go ahead and strike that off, especially with the times we're in right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be looking
Yeah.
at rates being hiked
No.
up. They get hiked up enough. So
I just don't want to wait
Okay.
until the first of the year to do it. I
I
want to
got
be
you.
ready for it.
Yeah, and that's something we
At the
can
end of-
discuss internally and
Right.
and with Peggy.
So the intent is to table the motion indefinitely.
Just yes,
Yeah.
yeah, until it comes up again, so it's not always on our report. Perfect. Okay. All right. We do have a couple things on new business. Our March meeting will need to be changed. due to the election. So originally, our March meeting was scheduled for March 18th. That is the third Monday. And I think I'll just go ahead and throw it out as, I think we were planning on March 11th. We're going to bump it up a week. And since we have to advertise it anyway, we're going to bump it up to 6 o'clock, just so everybody gets an extra hour. We can't just move our meetings because they're already set when we come in at the first of the year. But since this one's going to be advertised, are you okay with doing 6 o'clock
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
March?
We will need a motion.
I will make that motion then, and we'll get that advertised so everybody knows if you're going to come to the next meeting, it will be bumped up a week to March 11th and at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, the election is held here. This is a polling location, and they set up the night before, and we're not allowed in here after they start setting up.
Right.
And I don't want to change our venue for the meeting because we've gotten used to recording them, putting them on our website, and so therefore is a reason to change the date and not the location.
Correct.
So I will second the motion to change it to March 11th at 6 p.m.
And voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Scheibele,
Yay.
and Mr. King.
Yay. And other new business we have, is there anything else new we need?
I got something just to bring
Do
up.
we have any other?
We, I'm not sure
Oh.
who got,
Yes,
Oh,
we need we need to look at this,
this is the,
if you want to review that.
Energy Alliance's Kathy Dieters was going to have some paperwork for us tonight to pick pricing for facilities in Whitewater Township that are under contract with Dynergy until March of '23. We can extend that contract on a month-to-month basis, or we can get a lower rate by extending it between 12 and 24 months. So she wasn't able to get the contracts together because of the holiday today, but she would like us to go ahead and approve the rate for between 12 and 24 months, your choice.
On the email that I saw, it said 12 or 14 months.
Yeah,
She just
her
bumped
latest
that.
email just said,
It's 24.
yeah.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we extend our contract with Dynegy for the 24-month period.
This is just for the gas, just so everybody's clear.
Just for
It's
the
just
gas.
for the
And
gas.
it's just for the township building. It's not for the aggregate with the whole township.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Okay. Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope,
Yay.
Mr. Scheibele,
Yay.
Mr. King.
Yay.
Thank you.
Any other, you did not need any new business. Any other new business, Jim? Yeah, that's a good catch on. What do you have?
So I'm looking into a couple other things, and I went to a class.
Oh, you know what? We have Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's under comments.
Got you, okay.
So at the up at the trustees meetings up in Ohio, we just went to, and there's a couple other things I'm looking into, but I haven't. But the one thing that caught my eye, I went to a thing about getting some more money for the township. There already is in place. You get $5 per license plate, per every license plate that's registered. We do that. I found out up there that we're eligible to have a total of 10. So, but you got to do it separate, 5 and 5. So you can have two. You can ask for 2 5s. You see what I'm saying? Like another 5. I don't think I was going to have Jim look and see how much it's not a big amount, but I mean, if it brings some more in, to help us offset some cost on some stuff, if we could look into what it would take or what it would be, and then we could.
I can get those numbers and get them to you.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, if it can, they got to do separate. You can't do 10. It's got to be.
Right.
It's a 5. You got to ask for 5 and 5. But I mean, that's one. And there's some other little things I'm looking into, but I want to do some more research on them that were interesting. That just kind of pops some more in. None of it is like great, but any little bit helps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe I'll have some more
Yeah.
ideas next.
we can put that on our business list.
I'll have it under old business for next month.
That's all I have.
Trustee Pope, did you have any other new business?
Not new business, I just had a comment.
Okay, we'll wait till we get to ours then, okay? Yeah, I do not have anything under new business. Did you have anything you wanted to throw on there?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll go into our public comments. Eric, if you want to come on up. Good evening, Eric.
Hello, me again. My name's Eric Thompson. Coming still pretty much for the same issues. I do want to thank you guys. The no parking sign I just seen come up on my street that I asked for. But I am a little kind of confused about it. It is just on like one side of the street, and it really should be like no parking on both sides of the street for how it's like situated and blocks people. I have a picture if I'm able to like maybe come show you guys real quick. Just give you a better idea. See how I'm just parking right there in the middle of the street?
Right.
Yeah, the street's not for parking at all. So then people across there, they can't get out until they request them to move.
That's the whole street, right? Yeah.
And so you guys put up the signs on this side right here. And that's the only side it's on, so I'm thinking it's making people just think, oh, it's just that side, but that's not solving.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Do you know what he's talking about, Peggy? Okay. So, yeah, we'll pass that on to, Peggy will pass that on to Josh. No, totally agree. You can't even
Yeah.
get around, so.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
supposed to be, that's easy now.
You know, it's been a while here, like, you guys, this is the house that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have
Oh,
seen
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
So how is this allowed? Like, how is this just allowed to happen? Like, I come from Harrison, Ohio. You know, I've been here for 10 years, and I've never seen such a thing. Like, there's supposed to be laws and everything else about this, but here it is, just nothing happening.
Well,
Yeah.
they're trying, and that's the one drawback in those zone. You know, we don't have any zoning, so
Right.
that's one drawback. But there's still
Did you
things
know
you
we
can
were
do.
Not when I bought my house 10 years ago.
Okay, yeah, we're just,
It's always been, and they've
Yeah.
tried to pass it one other time years ago. My dad was headed it up. They tried to pass zoning in the township. It's a thing to get it on the ballot. You know, the way we do stuff in the township is how I feel they should do it across the country. The township is, we don't make decisions for the township. On big decisions like that, we put it to a vote, and if the people want it. So, same with zoning. Years ago, you got to put it together, they get a map, everybody could come in and zone their properties. They went through, it was like a 1.5 year process, wasn't it, that they
long.
went through?
Every bit of that.
My
very
dad,
long.
and it was a lot of money and a lot of time, and then they put it on the ballot. I mean, every single person got to come in and pick how they wanted their property zoned. They put it on the ballot, and it still got voted down like drastically. So, so the people of Whitewater don't want it. Now, is that good or bad? There's goods and bads. You know, that could be a discussion we could go on forever. That's the one problem. The second is, like I sent you that message back. Brian and them are working on it. The biggest thing is, and for me, I don't understand it. I wish it's right now, it basically, to me, lays on the judges. I mean, they go in there. He's got tons of stuff against him, but like I sent you that thing after I found out. I mean, I never do this unless there's two different kinds of warrant. One is a bench warrant, right? And is the bench one the one where they can't arrest, they don't arrest them?
Correct, it depends, but yeah, that's basically issued by.
Yeah. And Brian has bagged every time because he knows the guy is never going to do nothing. But the warrant that he has is one, he said if they pulled him over, if he was speeding and they pulled him over, they would not arrest him, nor would they go get him until that. So when it comes up again, Brian said it would have come up again, and he won't show up at court again like he's supposed to. I guarantee it. And Brian will bag every time. He bags and writes a thing, and he has to write a whole big thing how he thinks they should make it to where they can go arrest him and actually hold him in jail and hold him till he has to be responsible for where. And when he goes again, he'll do it again. He said eventually, hopefully one day they'll do it. But until then, like, I agree with you,
I
man.
mean, would you want to live next to this?
No, I get it.
I mean, this could just happen to anybody in this township. You know what I mean?
I
You can
get
have
it.
$400,000 house and someone just comes right next to it and destroys your property value and everything. And sanitation wise and health. And like, when does you guys come in and like do something like?
Well, if it's we don't get to do, we can report
I mean, ain't
it.
that a safety thing? Ain't that a fire thing?
Well, if it gets now I was going to say, now we come in and we can report it. So they go in there if it's a health, if it's sewage, that's Board of Health, and then that's really good. If there's some bad of that, they come in and check it, and they can really do something with that. That moves real quick, and that's a whole nother ballgame. And the other thing, some of the fire stuff, and if you turn it in, if it comes back, that's another thing that gets it not as good as the health. The health part, if they got a bunch of garbage or excessive or other things, that's really good but that's
They have
out
all
our
of that
hands,
though.
too.
Why hasn't more things been moving on them then?
That's
Not
all.
not just the Board of Health. Why not the fire stuff? Why not, all the other departments? What else can we do here?
We turn it over, and we're not. That's the sad part.
Just
People
like,
think of
wipe
trustees.
your hands clean of it. Like,
No, we don't. What people don't understand is what trustees do, and people think we have a lot more authority than we do. We don't have anything control over the police. Zero. We can report to the police the problems, and that's all county. Same with the Board of Health. The same way. We could say we have this issue in our township, and we turn it over to the Board of Health. It's the Board of Health's responsibility. They enforce it. We can't enforce that. You're right. We're trying, and people don't understand it, and they get really mad at us. But we can't make the police, and we can't make. It's not really the police. I shouldn't even say that. We cannot make the judges hold these people responsible. It makes me sick. I've had properties that people have broken into and cut the copper out of, and I had one, they caught them, and they did nothing to them. They caused thousands of dollars of property damage to me, and they finally catch somebody in there, and they caught them. They did nothing to them. So the problem is the judges. It's really not even the police. They do what they can do, but when it gets to the judge, and just like the Board of Health, we could keep turning it in, and we do. I know you think we don't, but we
ain't
do.
the township though to have the rules in place too to like prevent this from happening in the first place?
It's only zoning, and it's zoning that you have to get in, and it's not, like I said, you got to get people to vote it in. I mean, I cannot force zoning down. I can't just say one day we're just putting zoning, and then we just decided we're going to zone your property, and you can't park your camper in your driveway no more. We can't do that. I mean.
Trustees cannot make or enforce laws. So, no.
I'm new to all this. I'm
Yeah,
learning
yeah,
how
I
this
get
So
all
it.
works.
the answer to your question is no, we can't pass a law to stop that. It's unfortunately we have to work with what we have already in place through the county, and that's where Guy's been working with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. I know it's moving at a snail's pace, but we're trying for you because we agree with you. We see
And they're
your
doing their
problem.
part. You may not think so. They're doing their part. It's that they don't, when they get to court, I mean, anymore, it just seems like a lot of these things, they don't do nothing to these people.
It just seems like it's more than just that one thing they have for living there. Like there's tons of, I believe, like building code violations and everything else on it that nothing is being
I think
said.
they've condemned a house already, haven't they?
To the best of my knowledge, the house has been condemned. The gentleman that Guy's talking about with the sheriff's department is actually the environmental officer. He works with the Hamilton County Board of Health. He works with local jurisdictions. The Board of Health has a representative from the prosecutor's office that works with us on this. They go and they do their best, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for the inspectors from the Board of Health, frustrating for the trustees here, because they go to court and the guy doesn't show up and nothing's done. So it's how many times are they going to let him get by not showing up before they'll do something about it? It's very similar to, I'm sure the sergeant can tell you, he can arrest somebody, take them down, book them, and half the time before he can fill the paperwork out, they're home because they don't get held because there's no room in the jail. Or the next day they go before a judge and they send them home before he's off shift. It's just a sad commentary, and that's why it's important that you know, vote for somebody, for a prosecutor who's going to try their best to enforce the rules. So, because that's the only recourse we have with electing people who won't ignore the law. Judges. So.
Yes, thank you. I have run a nonprofit in Hamilton County. No, I'm sorry. This is related to your thing, so I thought I heard you say this property is a nuisance, or it's been declared some level of...
It's been condemned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I understand the property is a nuisance, that's subject property that he's describing? Well, there's the Hamilton, or Ohio law has the receivership where if a property is declared a nuisance, then in your county, a nonprofit or a neighbor within 500 feet is allowed to sue that or the person that's not doing what they're supposed to, and then they can get the courts to intervene and then force compliance to the health codes, to the building departments, to every single thing there is on law. I'm not exactly clear on what Whitewater Township's laws are. I know in Hamilton County, I do this all the time. It's my job. So I would invite that statute to be reviewed if that's something that you need help with. I could provide my number. And then secondly, it sounded like parking was another issue. If there's zoning that requires, or I'm sorry, if zoning is not a functional aspect you can use to protect your property, fences also keep people out of your yard if they're half parking in your property. It just, just listening to the situation and trying to add any value that I could. Thank you.
Yep,
Yeah,
appreciate it. Hey.
Real quick. So Brian is, and I...
Tell them who Brian is.
Brian
You
Peak,
keep
he's
saying-
he
The sheriff.
is the sheriff.
Okay.
Have you met him? Have you seen Brian yet or not?
I don't think so.
Okay. Brian is he's been an officer forever. He's a really good officer, and he's not a slacker, and he's like a worker. And he actually offered to come in. I didn't know for sure. I didn't know if you would be here. If you for sure will be here next meeting.
It's hard with my schedule, but
Yeah, and it's going to be early. Remember, it's
Right,
going to be
right, I
11.
wrote it down.
But send me an email.
Okay.
Because he and the county has money set aside for him to be able to come, and he said I can come, and I will talk to him and tell him everything that's went on. He can go over everything that's been going on up there and what he's done in the process. He's got no problem doing it. And if I would have known you were for sure going to be here, because he'd like to tell you, because he's not, I'm telling you, he's not a guy that sweeps something under the rug. That's why he does it for all of Hamilton County, and he does not sweep anything under the rug.
Right.
And he's been helping us on some other projects. But send me an email if you can make it. I'll tell him, and he'll set it up, and he will come in, and he can tell you, and you'll see that he's doing all of his ability also.
Right.
It's aggravating, man. I feel you. I feel you. Just don't get too mad. We had it, the last fellow ended up like cussing me and left, because he feels like we're not doing anything, and we're really doing what we can. We're out of limit, and the officers are really they're trying
Right.
to. But
yeah, and so I'm out of things that I know I can do, so I just keep coming here.
maybe you can get his number, and maybe there's a way you can do that deal where you're suing him, or you do however that works. That's something that's something you can do, just as you have more power doing that. We
Yeah.
can't do that because we don't live next to him.
Good
So,
deal.
No, and keep coming. I tell you that, Eric. Come and tell us. No, I don't think you're yelling. I mean, I'm frustrated with you, and I can
Yeah.
only imagine you. I had Jim Brett write down the number. I don't know if you have contacted the Hamilton County Board of Health yourself. My advice is to call them and call them and call them.
I used to, but I got the same.
No, here,
running
really,
around.
call them. I put it on the back of your, keep calling them, just like you come here. That's what I would.
well, that's because
That's-
they're the ones that could do. They are the ones that
Eric,
could really
I know
do
it's
something.
frustrating. Do not stop calling them. Okay? I mean, that's what I would do, right, Sheriff? Isn't that what you tell us if something's going on? Call them, okay? Do not. Come to these meetings, too. I don't think you're yelling at us. I
No.
know you're frustrated.
Yeah, I don't want them to get too bad at us. But if you aggravate them enough, eventually they'll put a deal out. The Board of Health can put
Yeah.
some on him, and they'll go
Oh,
pick
yeah.
him up. They'll go pick him up right
Actually,
there.
they can't.
Well, they
They-
can.
Brian's doing the same. Brian
Same
Peak is the environmental officer, and he's doing the same thing.
But if they can
That's
push the
problem.
judge enough to do it, right?
Well, it's hard. It's hard to chop a judge
Yeah.
for something like this. And again, that's why elections have consequences. You know, if you vote for somebody that's not going to follow the rules, then you get somebody who's not going to follow the rules. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're looking at your judges, at your prosecutors. You know, get somebody that will make a commitment to enforcing the laws, because that's where the holdup is right now with your problem and a whole lot of other problems. You know, you hear it all the time. You know, you don't hear it about Hamilton County as much because it's not as bad, but you hear all over, you know, judges, prosecutors, they're doing things that they aren't legally even supposed to be doing and getting by with it. You know, but it's happening here too. So elections have consequences. Same as Dale just sat here and told us with, you know, the federal government, the local elections are just as important to our everyday life. So.
Good deal. Well,
Call them. That's my advice. Call them.
I'll be on it tomorrow.
And let me know on the 11th.
Okay.
'Cause he wants to come in. I mean, he really wants to come in. And
I usually know like more of my schedule like a week before.
just make sure it's about a week, because it might take a week for him to get it
Okay.
set up to where, you know, that he gets the permission to do it, but it's not a problem.
Good deal. All right,
And
appreciate
honestly, he might even swing by and bull crap with you at your house if you want to.
it. Okay.
And we will get on that other parking sign, right? Have
Yeah.
Josh out.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Eric. Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
Can I, just one
Go ahead.
suggestion, maybe we want to talk with the chief about making it no parking fire lane. Okay. Sometimes if you put fire lane on the sign, it means a little more to people.
Okay.
Just a thought. You guys can talk about it.
Okay. Anything else? You guys good? Okay, let's go into, we're not going to do any executive session. Comments from the board?
I have a comment, and the only comment I have is kind of on the lines of what we're just talking about. A reminder that tomorrow is the final day to register to vote in the primaries. I was just sitting at work today having lunch, and there was two guys arguing politics, and I overheard one of them say that he didn't vote. And I come to find out that neither one of them are registered to vote and are arguing politics. And I explained to them, unless you vote, you really don't have a right to argue politics if you're not voting and doing something about it. So I really stress tomorrow, if you haven't registered to vote, get registered to vote. And when you arrive at the polling location, grab the sample ballot of your preference and get on the Hamilton County Board of Elections website, pull up your ballot, review it, look at what you're voting for. It only takes 5 minutes. We sit on our phones and look at Facebook all day. Let's just spend 5 minutes and look at the Board of Elections site.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's levies, there's judge candidates, prosecutors. Educate ourselves.
I agree. Well said.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Trustee Shively, you have anything?
I don't have anything else. That's it.
I do not have anything either. You have anything you want to add?
No, sir.
I make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Voice vote, please.
Mr. Pope?
Yay.
Mr. Shively?
Yay.
Mr. King?
Yay.